What's Good podcast.
Are you ready?
Hey ladies and gents, this is your girl Brianna Jovahn, and we are here for another episode of What's Good podcast for season 6. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Usually we do have guests on the platform, but this season we're going to do self-reflection questions and topics for you to get to know the host, me, Brianna Jovahn. So let's get into today's topic. Today, we are going to talk about coming out of your comfort zone and what that looks like on the other end. I know for me, when it comes to come out of my comfort zone, I'm going to say this podcast is one in particular. Initially, I just thought, hey, it's about me getting to know Dallas again and me understanding what's going on in my own backyard. But to be honest, I feel like I've shared a lot with everybody that listens to this podcast, follows my platform. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes I'm like, okay, was that too much? Should I back on certain things? Because let's just be honest. In today's world, if you say anything wrong, if you do anything out of place, anything outside of what you're known to do, you will get frowned upon. For example, what Will Smith just went through. It's a terrible situation, but he is a stand-up guy, and this one thing has really taken him out of his career path, which is really unfortunate to me. I'm not going to go too deep into it because this is not a current event, pop culture podcast, but looking at it on the standpoint of a human being to a human being, I just feel like if anything you do wrong, that one mistake will take you off your track and pretty much can destroy you. So for me, when I decided to do this podcast, my sole focus was to learn more about my community. But in the turnaround, I want my guests to be very transparent and very vulnerable. I feel like you guys are probably going to expect that for me as well. So that's the reason why I started doing Real Talk with Bree. This season really challenged me for me to, being open to you guys on the standpoint of the podcast. So not only on my own platform, but the podcast as well. I feel like I would be a hypocrite if I wasn't my true self. So when it comes to me being vulnerable, I think maybe last month or the month before last, I did a Real Talk with Bree about me being in a relationship. I've never talked about my dating life. I've never talked about, I don't even think I've ever posted a gentleman on my page. It's that real for me because nothing against people who post their booze. I just want something to be, I don't know. I just don't want Instagram to define my relationship. Because let's say if something goes wrong, now I got to go through the situation of deleting all these pictures and starting all over. And now people are really in my life. It's like, okay, there are some things that I can keep to myself. But I was very vulnerable with sharing that situation of me and the guy that I'm dating. So me just being vulnerable, period, it kind of scares me because for one, I didn't know how he was going to take it to say, okay, Brie, you left out certain parts or you didn't tell the full story. It could have been a situation between him and I where, privacy in a sense. So I think about that. I think about me sharing different things about what's going on within my friendships and if they're going to be okay with me sharing stuff of that nature. So me just being vulnerable and sharing my life with you guys, I not only have to think about me and my career path, but I also have to think about the other people that's involved. I love sharing stories because I consider myself a storyteller, but I really have to be conscious. For example, I am very, very nervous of talking about religion. I'll talk about spirituality all day because that's my journey. But when it comes to religion, and let me say a scripture wrong, I know the Christians are going to come out and come after me. And I try to avoid problems like that. And so there is a fine line with me being vulnerable with you guys and me being strategic on the things that I talk about. So I definitely want to share that with you guys, that me sharing the different things that I do share with you as far as lessons. I think I even had my father, I had my father on Real Talk with Bree, and we had a few sessions. But the benefit on the other end is that that the feedback that you guys give me, even the sessions that I had with my father, is that you guys really, really enjoyed it. A sorority sister of mine, for people who don't know, yes, I'm a part of an organization, not Divine Nine. I don't want them coming after me either. But yes, in college, I pledged and joined a fraternity. So I'm very close to certain people within the group, and she reached out to me and she was saying that I really, really enjoyed the sessions with you and your father, because at this time we really need to see Black men protecting Black women. And even if that's a father and daughter relationship, she loved the fact that me and my father can just have a dialogue back and forth and just learning from each other. And I think that was around the same time Kobe and his daughter passed away. So it was things like that that was needed. So on the other end that I may be scared to talk about certain things, I've realized on the other end of the stick that people really enjoy these conversations. At the end of the day, I hope that I am blessing you with certain stories that I do share, and I pray that you don't make the same mistakes that I do. And that's the whole reason why I want to be vulnerable, share these learning lessons with you. For people who are just turning into this season, if you go back to previous seasons, my last episode for each season, I explain my learning lessons of what happened for that particular season. I know I'm saying seasons a lot, but yes, I go back and just do a recap or a reflection of different things that I should have known or I gained, or whatever those learning lessons are. I make sure that I share that on the last episode. And I hear a lot that those episodes are the ones that people really favor. So that's why for this season, I decided to take it upon myself to just do that full out. Just be transparent, bring myself to share different things with you. And it's definitely scary, but I can see the benefit on the other end, that people reach out to me all the time to say, thank you, Bree. This episode was amazing because ... Or you really encouraged me to push forward with this because you did ... You don't know how many times that I've heard from clients or potential clients, they came and listened to my show and stated that I love how you just put yourself out there. And that's the reason why I want to start a podcast, to just share my story with people, because that's how people learn. So that is just a benefit of all coming out of your comfort zone. It's very scary, especially for introverts. I'm definitely a person that likes to talk, and I'm always in the crowd and I'm shaking hands and rubbing elbows, but I realize at the end of the day, it kind of drains me. So I think I'm kind of like in between. But I know for introverts, it's a lot, because for one, you don't want everybody in your space, right? And comfort zone doesn't have to be just talking to people. It could be trying something new, right? But with trying something new, there could be all different type of benefits of maybe adding it to your services, or maybe volunteering and helping somebody out that, okay, I just learned this, but I can definitely share this with you to help you level up. Because at the end of the day, that does not take anything from you. If anything, it helps you and it makes you feel good to say at the end of the day, ooh, I really helped somebody, with something that I just learned, and I'm already teaching somebody that particular skill that I just learned myself. So that makes you feel good inside. So just trying different things in life will not hinder you, but indeed it will help you. So coming out your comfort zone isn't that bad after all. So I do have a couple of steps, just 5 different tips actually, on how you can come out of your comfort zone and what that can look like on the other end. So number 1, as I mentioned earlier, is just learning something new. I know for me, within each of my breaks of the podcast, I sit down to learn something new. Even me going to this season of being a producer, I watched several different YouTube videos on how to produce a podcast, how to write scripts, how to write notes, how to edit properly, because I want to make sure if I'm selling these services, I'm giving the best that I can. I'm giving 110%, 120%, whatever that may mean. I don't know everything about podcasting, but at the same time, I do feel comfortable in the services that I'm selling because I'm educating myself on it. So me going into this industry, for people who don't know my story, I was actually going to a studio. Shout out to Wolf Nation. But I was actually going to a studio and I had no idea about podcasting. So moving forward, I won equipment and it was amazing. And I taught myself how to use that equipment. And now look at me now. I'm now in the business of being a producer, editing, and all things podcasting. So imagine if I did not want to learn something new. Instead, with that branding contest, he did ask me, did I want money to go to the studio or did I want to invest into myself? So at that time, I really could have said, let me go ahead and get the money. But let's be honest, sometimes when you get cash, it doesn't always go to your business. Sometimes a bill pops up and you got to pay for it. Or something may happen to your car and now you got to pay for, car repairs. So for me, I was like, okay, if we're going to take podcasting serious, let's go ahead and get the equipment. And it has changed my life. So try and learn something new that you never ever thought that you would try in your life. And even trying food, just trying something new and take you out of that comfort zone for you to go to that next level. Number 2, up your game. Like the song says, with Sierra, level up. Level up, level up, level up. Well, that's a real thing for you to level up in your business as a person, because for me, I am a prideful person. This is outside of business. I am a prideful person. So when it comes to communication, if I feel disrespected, if I feel as you're trying to back me up in a corner, I am a Leo and I will growl at you. And that is something real and serious for me. So right now, as me working to be a better person, a better communicator, I'm trying not to shut down. Instead, I'm trying to communicate my thoughts. I'm not trying to be aggressive, but just be more assertive in what I am feeling and how I'm feeling. So just upping your level as a person, upping your level as a business owner, sticking to your prices. I know it may be uncomfortable to say, yeah, my price is $1,000 or my price is $500, and you kind of hear it in their voice like, ooh, I can't afford you. Somebody will pay for your services. God didn't give you the vision for no reason. He will bring you the clients. And I saw that meme the other day, but it's a real situation. Whatever you feel as far as your self-worth, keep it there and just level up. Add different things so people can understand why you're charging that. But be confident, right? But at the same time, you have to level up. Don't ever get complacent in anything that you do. If you're at that 9 to 5 and you're like, all I'm doing is calling people and they're calling me and I'm just at a call center, well, talk to your manager and see what other opportunities within the job that you can do. Because there may be a marketing position where you went to school for marketing, but you did not know because you were so focused on, this is where I am today. When you could be an amazing employee, do everything, come to work on time, answer those calls, respond back to those voicemails, and do everything for that particular job position, where they may look at you to say, hey, we saw that you went to school for marketing. We have a marketing position available. Would you be interested? So give everything your all, because you never know who's gonna be looking at you. So just focus on what that next step may be. Don't go out and be outrageous with it, but just level up in any circumstance that you're in. Give it your best. Give it your all. So that's number 2. Number 3, put yourself in challenging situations. So for example, when I first started editing my own podcast, I never thought that I would edit anybody else's podcast. It was only for me. So initially, when I put my job post out there that I'm available to help out with podcasting, and somebody asked me, do you edit? I said yes, but I didn't give the full situation that I've only edited my episode. As I'm thinking about it out loud, it was more so of like, I just told them yes. Never had a client before in my life to edit. If anything, I was just helping people start a podcast. But me taking that chance and that challenge to say, yes, I do edit podcasts. I took that time away from that client and watched YouTube videos all day on how to edit in Audacity. I am not kidding. I am not lying. I definitely did, because I didn't want to say no. Again, that goes with my pride. I feel like sometimes I can do everything. So I did take it upon myself as that is a challenge. What are you going to do now, Bree, since you told the girl that you definitely edit? So what you going to do now? So I took it upon myself to go to YouTube, figured out all type of tips on how to adjust volumes, how to level out the volumes, amplify, all those amazing words of, you know, people who are engineers and do audio editing, things of that nature. I said, let me dive in deep to figure this out so I can show up for my client. So challenging yourself can be super beneficial for you when it comes to clients, because now they can tell their community and now you have referrals. So that's on one end. But let's say if you challenge yourself with, I am going to try what we say earlier, food. Now I'm going to try, wine. I know that was my whole thing. I loved sweet wine when I first started drinking wine. I loved a good Moscato. But now I challenge myself to change my palate, and I love a good glass of red wine. Just in case y'all ever want to give me a gift, I am a Cabernet / Merlot type of gal. So I challenged myself to expand my palate, and now I'm like on the road with trying different red wines, and I enjoy it so much. So it's benefits in different ways, but you have to push yourself out there to challenge yourself. Number 4, surround yourself around people who challenge you. There has been times in my career where I'm kind of like imposter syndrome, that I don't feel like I'm adequate to speak about certain topics or perform a certain duty. And I kind of tell myself, I've only been a podcaster for 3 years. Somebody may come up against me that's been a podcaster for 7 years, 8 years, and may get a position as far as like editing for somebody or producing an episode for somebody or whatever that may mean, because they have more credentials than me. But what I have found out is that people buy into you. And that's just me talking to different people, and those people encourage me, Bree, go ahead and put in that application. Or if that production company reached out to you, go ahead and let them know that you are the right person because you are doing it right now. So I appreciate my community, because sometimes I am really hard on myself and I'm down on myself because I don't know if I am the right person in these right places. Sometimes I ask God, how did I get this client? And it's amazing when I think about it, and I can only say it's blessings. But at the same sense, I kind of question myself to say, am I the right person for this? So I want to encourage you to have family, have friends, have a community around you to uplift you, to challenge you to take it that step further. If you're questioning yourself, should I be here or should I be focusing on something else? And you have friends and family that's saying, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this. This is not for you, and this, and that, and just putting doubt and more fear into you. That's not the circle that you should be around. If anything, you should be around a circle that's going to say, take that leap or take that step, pray about it. If it's in your gut to do something, make it happen. Take that next step and just do what you got to do. You'll figure it out when you get there. But if you feel a desire to do something, do it. So it's really, really important to have that community to challenge you, because at the end of the day, we have so much that's weighing on ourselves. Sometimes we can't show up for ourselves. So to have people to show up to pick that weight up off of you, it's the best feeling ever, because now you feel like you have a team behind you to say, you know what, maybe I can do this. So it's an amazing feeling when you do have that team. So if you don't, I definitely challenge you to get around a community that's going to challenge you as well. All right, so number 5, don't be the smartest person in the room. So I wanted to add this tip only because a really good friend of mine, shout out to Diaria Hookman, she's amazing. as I was telling her about, my next move as far as me being a producer, she was like, there's really nothing wrong, Brianna, instead of, having your own production company, but actually working for a production company, because you don't want to be the smartest one in the room. It's okay to learn from others. It's okay to say, I don't know everything. And it's okay to just welcome in information, especially if people want to help you. So that's the reason why I wanted to add this as a tip, as far as don't be the smartest person in the room, because I feel like, for one, you do get comfortable, as we're talking about comfort zones, right? So it's important not to be comfortable and complacent. So being around smarter people, or being around people who have higher titles than you, it's important to gain that knowledge, because it's only going to help you grow within your future, or grow within your career path, or whatever that may mean for you. But they're pretty much planting seeds for it to sprout and bloom later in your future. So that was a huge one for me, with staying in your comfort zone, because a lot of times we try to stay in the back of the room. We try to be quiet, but instead, this is what I learned in college, is to always show up to meetings, show up to different what is it called, like expos or events, and always make sure you ask a question. Always make sure when you're in a room with somebody and you see a mentor, a potential mentor at that, make sure you ask questions, because it's always an area where you can learn in. So that is pretty much it for me today. I know I probably sound really preachy, but just to go over the 5 tips of coming out of your comfort zone, or steps to get you out of your comfort zone, is to learn something new, up your game, put yourself in challenging situations, surround yourself around people who challenge you, and don't be the smartest person in the room. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this today. We are definitely going to keep this conversation going on my social media page, so definitely make sure you tune in. All the information will be at the end of this episode.